So for your homework, we are going to do a short reading and then we're going to answer the questions. It's called The American Revolution. You're going to find your copy on Google Classroom and it is labeled homework. So first we are going to read and then we're going to do all the checkpoints and answer the check your progress questions on the bottom. The first half of the year, 1776, saw a change in the colonists thinking about their relationship with Britain. These months were also filled with actions by patriots and Congress. These actions led to a formal statement of independence, a call for independence. In early 1776, few colonists supported a struggle for independence. The publication of Thomas Paine's Common Sense, however, marked the beginning of a shift in people's thinking. In May 1776, Richard Henry Lee presented to Congress a resolution, or formal statement of opinion, on the right of the colonies to be free. Congress then asked Thomas Jefferson to draft a document listing reasons why the colonists should separate from Britain. So over here for our checkpoint, it says name the publication that shifted the colonists toward independence. So I'm going to underline, pick a different color, what you guys should be writing for that. So our question again is name the publication that shifted the colonists toward independence. And right here, the second sentence says the publication, let me just fix this. Sorry, the publication of Thomas Paine's Common Sense. So that's what you guys are going to write here. You're going to pick up a text box and you would write Thomas Paine's Common Sense. Jefferson's brilliance as a writer is evident in the Declaration of Independence. The document has a logical flow through an introduction in 3 distinct sections. The preamble. This introduction explains why the document is being written. General ideas about society and government. This section states the colonists' basic beliefs, so that all people have natural rights, that the government should protect those rights, and that when the government fails to protect people's rights, the people should abolish the government. There's also a list of grievances. This section states the formal complaints against King George III of England. He is accused of failing to protect the colonists' rights. Beyond that, the king is accused of actually violating their rights. So not only did he not protect them, but he was actually violating them. The conclusion is the section that puts together the colonists' beliefs and grievances to show that the only course left to the colonists is to dissolve or do away with all political ties with Britain. An ending pledge demonstrates the seriousness of the colonists' Declaration of Independence. So for our vocabulary builder over here on the side, it says, if the noun logic means careful thought, what does the adjective logical mean? You're going to write a definition from the context clues in the underlined sentence. So you're going to have your text box right here. So we're looking at the underlined sentence. It says the document has a logical flow through an introduction in 3 distinct sections. So the adjective logical would mean that it makes sense, right? It has a careful, thought out flow in it. We're typing. The word logical means that, and then I want you guys to finish that sentence. So you have to look at your context clues. You have to look at what we know logic means, careful thought, and if you need to, you can also use Google to look up the adjective logical and write the definition there. The impact of the Declaration. So Congress met in July 1776 to decide whether to adopt Lee's resolution and improve the Declaration of Independence. On July 4th, 1776, the approval was announced. The Declaration was signed by the delegates on August 2nd. From that time forward, the Patriots were fighting to become an independent nation. So our next checkpoint says, state the purpose of the preamble. I'm going to draw for you guys. So the purpose of the preamble, it says right here, is to explain why the document is being written. So that's what you're going to write right here. Again, you're not doing this arrow. You are actually typing out right here with a text box those words. The last checkpoint says, describe the event that occurred on August 2nd, 1776. So the Declaration of Independence was signed by the delegates on August 2nd. So I'm going to underline that. So that means they signed it. At that point, as soon as they signed it, they all agreed to it. They were declaring themselves to the rest of the world as independent. So you are going to write those words with a text box. The Declaration was signed by the delegates. The last part, what two things happened to bring the colonists in Congress closer to a formal call for independence? And we would say the publication of Thomas Paine, right, marked the beginning of a shift. So that would be your first thing, would be the publication, because that made the change in the people's thinking. So I think the second point, the second thing that, so that would be number one, would be the publication of Thomas Paine. Number two, I would say, would be the resolution by Richard Henry Lee, presented to Congress. So those are the two things that you're going to write here. You're going to pick up a text box and you're going to write the publication of Thomas Paine, and you're going to write the resolution presented to Congress by Richard Henry Lee. Okay. And what did the signing of the Declaration of Independence mean for the colonists? It meant that they were fighting to become an independent nation. They no longer considered themselves loyal to Britain. They considered themselves an independent nation. So we're going to answer that they were independent and fighting against Britain to be recognized as a nation. You can open your windows without blinding children. Okay, so you guys can go ahead and finish that and make sure you answer all the questions, fill it in, and then turn it in on Google Classroom when you are finished.